If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh,
yeah.
What a joy.
It's a good day to sit
All
inside
day.
all day.
Had the window open. That was nice.
That's nice. I'm glad you got a hint of the breeze. It was beautiful outside.
Yeah.
This episode is made possible by our deity, the Dark Lord himself, Jim's Fascia, and our therapy partners, Dirty B and Pickett, from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. This is Pod Therapy, real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. And now, broadcasting from the Churn, that's Jim, that's Whitney, I'm Nick. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
Well, it is Super Bowl week, sports fan. Are we allowed to say Super Bowl? Do I get sued for that? It's a big game.
I think you have to say Superb Owl.
That's it. Yeah, it's the bird one.
Yeah.
So that's
I'll
coming
take the
up.
soup.
Yeah. You can take the soup or the bowl. If you'd like to hear our football predictions, of course you do. Patreon.com/therapy.
Or if you want to hear Jim talk about 9/11.
It was related, though. It is part of my football prediction.
Yeah, was it?
It was. It was very clearly holding hands. Like these two things.
Patreon.com/therapy.
In my opinion, this Super Bowl and 9/11 have a lot in common. So go check it out. Patreon.com/therapy. We also rank sexiness of NFL
Oh, yeah. That was
players.
very fun.
Yeah.
Controversy. Yeah, I think a lot of controversy.
Almost ended friendships.
Yeah. I'm still uncomfortable with what was said. And I just, it's really difficult. It's like when you find out
Still
somebody's
recovering.
politics are really bothersome. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you what? How do you
Yeah.
not see what I see? This is not okay. So
Yes.
yeah, lots to learn about. Patreon.com/therapy. You can get our pre-show, an extra 30, 40 minutes on top of the episode. You know you want it. And you get to know us a little bit better. A little less therapy, a little bit more personality. But this is the main show, so it's time to get to fucking work. We've got some questions here, and the first one is how to end a friendship.
Canoe Simulator.
Canoe Simulator. Yep. You know what? We don't even need to read this.
Wow, we
got it.
answered it.
You had to play this video game called Canoe Simulator. And your only goal, set the high score.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Just try to solve the puzzle as fast as possible,
What
as
would
loud
make
as
it
possible.
worse? It's like you have to go like upstream.
Yeah. Or you're navigating like around these narrows, and
Yeah.
you have to turn.
And you're with a group of friends, and they're all ahead of you.
They're waiting for you in the canoe.
Yeah.
If your friends get too far ahead of you, you lose friends.
You got to get to camp before the sun goes down, because otherwise you have to set up your tent at night.
and you're
I have to
going
tell you a
upstream.
story after this.
Oh yes. Oh, everything
How
about
did you
this.
know all
This is so good. This is such a good idea. Upstream is also wonderful.
Yeah.
Just Jesus. At some point, it's like, let's just fucking pull over to the bank and walk. We'll drag it.
But wait, one of you gets a paddle that's full length, and the other one has a little kid's paddle.
Oh, there you go. There you
That
go.
mix it up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And you only have the two paddles,
Yeah.
and somebody definitely is going to drop one.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right,
Jesus
next
Christ.
question.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Ryder. Good luck with that. How to end a
solved.
friendship. Hi, guys, and Whitney.
We
my
already did this one.
favorite.
Favorite.
We've done this
Did
one?
you
Oh,
do
yeah,
that?
just now. Yeah. Hi, guys, and Whitney, my favorite. I was hoping you had some advice for me. I have a friend who, while I do love very much, I don't really like her anymore. You might ask, why don't you just stop being her friend? But it's a bit more complicated than that. We both lived through traumatic childhoods together, and because of that, we've become enmeshed over the last 25 years. While I've gotten help and grown into a functioning adult, she's stuck in her trauma and still does not function well. We're at totally different places in our lives. While I sympathize and even empathize with her trauma and subsequent bipolar disorder, I simply no longer enjoy her company or the enmeshed nature of our relationship. Breaking up with her will be very hard, though. She's very dependent on me emotionally and relies on me for some real-life stuff, like help with her daughter. But I don't approve of the way she raises or parents her daughter, and I don't want to be involved anymore. I do love the kid and would love to sustain a relationship with the daughter, but her mother, my friend, is not nearly mature enough to let that happen. I'm in a pickle. How do I break up with my friend when the reason I don't want to be her friend is as personal as it is? I don't want to hurt her, of course. I also don't want to cause strife that would overflow into her young daughter's life, as mom's emotions usually do. Any advice is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Anonymous.
If you don't want to play Canoe Simulator,
I don't think anybody does. I think that's why it has been
No
made.
one wants to. But...
Overcooked 2. That's the other way to break up.
No, the picture that I actually got as the writer, or as you were reading this letter, the picture I got.
You and Jim.
Wait a minute, what?
I had a really soft, gentle way of bringing this up, but no. No,
you can't see it at home right now, but Jim is lining up for the lift.
Yeah.
Don't drop me, man. Nobody puts Jimmy in a corner.
The end of The Hangover 3.
That is the one I skipped. I never
Can
saw
we
Hangover
get through
3.
a single episode of this therapy-related podcast without bringing up The Hangover 3?
No.
Somehow. It's that or Nevada real
The
estate.
very end when Zach Galifianakis, what's his name? His character.
Zach Galifianakis.
One-man wolf pack.
Yeah, fuck. I don't know. I can't remember.
Alan.
That's it.
Yeah.
Alan is basically breaking up with Leslie Chow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Mr. Chow. Yeah.
And just like we can't do this anymore. You're unhealthy for me. You know, when we get together, people get hurt. It's like that's the point. It's funny.
I want you to keep doing lines as Leslie Chow, though. I just want you to just
Why don't you
go through as
continue
much
on
of the
with Kim
dialogue.
Jong's accent
totally
as
fun.
possible.
Yeah, just-
No way that's going to go wrong. We've already talked about 9/11.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it.
I just don't feel like I'm getting your point yet. If you could just do a few more of the bit.
Impressions.
Maybe you
Yeah.
could focus on just doing the voice and not pulling your eyes back so you look squinty.
Yeah.
They can't see that at home anyway.
Yeah. And why would they not believe what you just said? So anyway,
I'm broke, Whitney.
I don't know why.
Whitney's out. Whitney will see you all next
It
week.
just caught me off guard. I need to breathe.
I'm just imagining him doing
Listening to
la la la. Miss Saigon. What was the question? Where were we going?
How do you break up with a friend?
This is our worst show ever.
Not with your eyes full.
So anyway,
Yeah, no, you had a
even
point.
though it was a comedic part of the movie, he actually does a good job of setting a boundary and
that
just
we're
saying,
not good
"Hey,
together.
But this
Yeah,
isn't
this
a movie,
isn't-
Nick.
this isn't. I like you, but this we can't continue to hang out because it's not good for us."
I like the example there.
Yeah.
It might
And I
be
do remember that
easier.
part of the movie from Hangover Part 3.
There it
so thank
is.
you for that moment of just remembering Hangover Part 3. There.
taking us
You're
back.
welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's a really hard question, because it is so personal. And it's tough because I think there's a lot of friendships that maybe have not become this close where you can steer away, right? Where you can sort of realize, I'm outgrowing this person. Our lives are heading different directions. I'm going to make less contact. I'm going to make less of an effort. And we'll naturally glide away. A lot of times I think that's how you end them. This one doesn't sound like we can do that.
Yeah.
I'm raising your daughter with you. We have been together for 25 years. We are joined at the hip. You're codependent on me. I cannot inconspicuously end it. It has to be a conversation.
Well, I feel like there might be somewhere in between. I may be too, what's the word, ambitiously thinking about this. There's
Okay.
a better word for this. But I was thinking that you start with setting up some physical boundaries. So when you said you're physically involved, I'm imagining like maybe you're helping her pick her daughter up from school or, take her to classes.
You interact throughout the week.
Right. Yeah. You're there a few days a week. Maybe start there and say, hey, I'm not able to pick your daughter up these days starting in March or whatever. So there's the physical distance that starts.
That's
and
good.
over time, it's like the emotional stuff. Maybe there's times where you can kind of get a little bit of boundary setting or distance there. I mean, I don't know what that looks like for you because being enmeshed and being friends with someone for 25 years is a really long time. Yeah, right. And it's almost habitual to like just answer or be there for them. Like it would feel really uncomfortable even for you to not do that. Yeah. But if you could get a little bit of space that way, my thoughts are, one, there could be that natural barrier that starts developing, like kind of like they take the hint. Okay. But I think more likely what will happen is she will notice and say, hey, have you been pulling back or am I bothering you? Like, what's going on? Why aren't you answering your phone as much? Or why aren't you doing this as much? Whatever. But to me, then that allows space for conversation. Okay. She's asked. And so then it's like, oh.
Well, actually.
Well,
so how do we have that? What do you think on this? I mean, because
it doesn't sound like writer wants to have that conversation either.
It sounds like they're struggling with it. Because it sounds like
maybe they just don't. Maybe
it has to be personal,
to
right? Because they're saying, like, I can't just say, like, Mr. Chow, like, hey, man, we're not good together. We cause problems. It sounds like writers tempted to say, yeah, Nick, if you could help us with that.
At that moment, what would Mr. Chow say back?
What does Mr. Chow say?
Don't do it.
I have no idea.
Get the cameras on, damn it.
What?
He was just scratching his eye.
I didn't do it. Hey, you guys. Jesus.
No, I
can't touch my face.
Yeah. Not with both hands.
What?
Not with both hands. Not okay.
But I think you can share. I mean, the writer obviously doesn't want to have that conversation, but this gets into the territory of where you can share I feel statements. Yeah. I mean, go back to some basic therapy there, but having been in situations similar to this throughout.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My own personal life, that's where the conversation may have to come up where you say, hey, the things you're sharing with me are really heavy and that takes a toll on me. It's kind of like sharing your own experience. So that was my experience. But for you, maybe I have a really hard time watching how you're disciplining your daughter. I don't really agree with this. Or you can ask, hey, I have some serious things I would want to share. Are you okay hearing them? Yeah. I usually asking for permission because that already kind of takes the edge off where they've given that. Point. And they can't.
And you can say something along the lines of, I would never dream of telling you how to parent your daughter.
Right. I'm not trying to control.
I do have these issues, and it's hard for me to be around these things because I have an issue with these.
Yes, it's the me problem. Like I'm having the problem.
I'm having the problem here. That's the thing is everybody always makes fun of the old it's not you, it's me thing.
I know, but I think that's so legit.
It works. What you have to do, though, with it is you have to commit to it.
Yeah. You can't use it as a veil.
There can't be any buried, I just can't handle seeing you raise your daughter horribly.
Right. Yeah.
It can't
the problem is me. I don't tolerate toxic bitches very well. That's a me problem. I've always had that problem. It can't be a backhanded
thing. No. It has to be a legit, here are the problems that I'm having right now, and the only way that I could get out of these problems is to separate myself from this. I would encourage you to do something that I don't know that we've ever encouraged anyone to do here before. And that is if you feel comfortable with it, kind of. Yeah. I was going to say lying. I was going to say you could just lie to her. Okay. You can just say, here are the problems that I'm having.
Right.
And you can lie about those problems. You can make shit up whole cloth if you want to.
I have diarrhea.
That's it. I mean, being around your child gives me diarrhea.
I couldn't pull over.
Who was going to ask a follow-up question?
Terrible foot odor.
That's it. What? Your daughter triggers nausea in me.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't care what it is. But if you have something, or even exaggerate an existing problem, whatever you need to say like I'm kind of taking you at your word here,
Right.
Ryder. You're saying you kind of want off the hook here,
Yeah.
and you also want to let your friend off the hook as gently as possible.
Yeah. It is tough because I like everything you just said. And I also see it is tricky because, like, I'm sure.
And I don't mean lie to hurt her. I mean lie.
I think you're
lying,
right.
Yeah, you're lying to
If there's any
spare her, if anything.
angle of deception that we can use to spare her, I love it.
And it also
I can
spares
also
a
see
fight
where
and
it's
it
it has to be called out a little bit, because if I'm trying to say, hey, I can't be your friend anymore, you're gonna the obvious question, why not? And it's like, okay, there's not a lot of moves I can do, right? It's about me, my life's going another
Maybe she'll just say okay.
25 years of enmeshment and
beat her
codependence.
child.
I can't be your friend anymore.
And it's tough because, like, I think
Thank God.
I wrote a podcast about this.
So good.
What a waste.
It's tough too, like, whenever you get into this place where you're like co-raising somebody's kid and you're like the aunt.
Yeah.
And now, like, you've enmeshed yourself in their family dynamic and you're Auntie Whitney or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, as the writer's kind of explaining to us, it breaks your heart because you love the kid.
Right.
Yes.
And you're like, I've kind of become your other co-parent. And your mom has damaged a lot of relationships in your life and takes a lot of her emotions out on you immaturely. You're the victim here, kid.
Yeah.
But I can't save you from that. And it's hard for me to watch it. And I don't like being part of your mom's life anymore because she's immature and stunted. And I need to kind of go in a new direction. But I mean, the writer seems to be struggling with that fear of, like, I don't want to abandon this kid.
I know.
But
That would
I
be
have
so
to.
difficult for me because I'm like, kids are
Yeah.
innocent and everything, but I know there has to be boundaries.
Yeah,
But that
they're
would be
up to
so
something.
hard.
And it's tough because I can see the friend, kind of taking that track of, like, I can't believe you're abandoning, my daughter. She loves you. Like, you're part of our lives and you're so selfish. And like, it's so difficult. And like, I appreciate the writer kind of hinting that they're willing to have honesty and say something. And it's just so difficult to rip off that Band-Aid and say something like, I don't feel the connection with you that we once shared, and not vilifying that person. Because it's very tempting to, like, correct them and offer the big lecture of, like, here's the 99 theses nailed to the wall. Here's everything I think you do wrong in your parenting, as a friend, as a citizen in the world. These are the patterns I see that are self-destructive. I can't be your therapist anymore with your bipolar disorder. Like, I need you to get help, but you refuse to get help. You're self-destructive. Like, it's very tempting to deliver that big package of truth. But I kind of agree with Jacob that maybe we don't need to do any of that. Like, somehow finding another excuse for breaking up the relationship.
I feel like if you're that friends for that long and that enmeshed, I don't know how you can lie. Like, I don't know what lie
It's
is
so
like.
hard. I know, right?
Because
I can't
otherwise
think
I'm
of
like,
anything.
well, yeah, that's not the worst advice of her. I'm like, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's terrible advice. But I think that would be really hard.
Like, if you don't live close to each other, you could just say, like, I'm moving.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I've taken
See
a
him at
vow of
Walmart
silence.
a week later.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know your life. You know what you can get away with.
Yeah. I'm changing religions. My new
Yeah.
religion very specifically doesn't let me talk to you.
I know.
Right.
But also you're not responsible.
Seems hurtful, honestly. But I like everything else about this religion, so I'm going to go with it.
You're also not responsible for your friend's emotions and their
Right.
actions. And so I get being mindful of those.
Or
and
their
concerned,
kid.
or
And
their
it's hard.
kids.
It's so hard.
But that is their relationship and their life to live. And you have to do what's best for you. And you can do that gently.
Yeah.
But it will be really difficult. I completely hear that. That's a really challenging question.
Well, and I think there's something to be said for somebody being a 25-year stakeholder in each other's lives.
Yeah.
I think the writer's taking it the right amount of serious
Yeah.
that you don't want to disrespect your history with this person by flippantly just ghosting them, pulling away from them, leaving them to pick up the pieces of this puzzle and try to solve this mystery. I don't like that. I historically, when I see people do that, I think that's cruel. I just wish that wasn't the only option on the table. Sometimes you have to, if the person you're breaking up with is sort of like, violent or like,
Sure.
really unpredictable. It's like, okay, well, then I'm sorry. They've lost the right to explanation because they're not a trustworthy person. But in this case, I admire the writer's willingness to wrestle with the truth or some version of it and basically explain, I don't think that we're compatible anymore. And God, it's so hard to say though, right? There's
Sometimes
no nice
those
way to say it.
conversations, though, I mean, maybe the friend needs to hear something like
point.
that. We talk about.
Sometimes you need a kick in the ass.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
in therapy, it's like a lot of people don't go get help until they need it or their life is disrupted.
Yeah,
like
it's
It's a
this-
reality check.
Yes.
Mhm.
Also, we haven't really said it. Make really sure with yourself that you want to do this.
Yeah.
Before you start any kind of process with this,
You are losing a friend too, even if
That's
you're
it.
like, I love
like,
them.
you're
even if-
instigating it, but like if you think there's a possibility that in like a month,
Good point.
you're going to be calling her up and be like, we need to reconcile, we got to fix this.
I miss you.
Then don't do this.
Don't
Yeah,
do
you
this.
can't unring this bell.
Yeah, this is
Good
going to be
point.
done.
Yeah.
If you
I don't know,
make
you
it
still
done,
have
it's
to
going to
tell
be
them
done.
what bothers you.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
you can
can't be
still
like,
have a conversation, but it doesn't have to be a breakup
but not
conversation.
like the
the thing-
breakup.
yeah.
Yeah.
I-
That's true.
I like just the honest approach and just putting everything out on the table and just like,
Really? I thought you'd be
yeah.
like, all right, just fade away into the bushes like Homer
No.
Simpson.
One shot
I
to the
don't-
head, right? Just
yeah,
get it done.
I don't like to. I
It's like a
like
Band-Aid.
yeah, and I like to just be very direct and like and non-emotional about things. Just like, okay, here's kind of the problem.
25-year friendship. I don't have to be emotional. You're
I
dead to me.
walk up to her,
Means
zero
nothing.
expression on my face. I punch her right in the neck.
Yeah, that's next.
Right in the neck and walk away.
Yeah.
I don't say a goddamn word to her. That's the Nick Tangeman way.
No emotions.
She knows what it means. No, I think like I would just be very upfront and just kind of like, hey, I miss these things about our relationship. I miss how this has been.
Yeah,
I really
that's a good
like
angle.
that piece, but that's not where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I've kind of moved this way and you've kind of moved this way. I wish we can get back to that piece, but as it stands right now, I can't do that.
It's not where we're living
I
right
like
now.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
like
how
that
I do it.
phrasing. That's I like that. That's kind of historical and
Reflecting
then sort
back
of,
on and like,
Yeah.
hey, this isn't going to be easy for me. I
Right.
miss these things. I'm already grieving because
Yeah.
these things are gone.
and another twist that we could add to that I think could be a little bit deceptive if it's not your truth, but fuck it. I agree with Jacob's theory that anything that helps, do it, right? And so like another element you could add to this is you and I have been through so much together and through so much similarly and relied on each other for so long that in many ways, when I spend time with you or I interact with you, it reminds me of a lot of the negative stuff that I've been through. And that's not even your fault. I just associate you with it. And so I'm noticing that like I carry pain and stress and irritation into our relationship. And there's things that I feel towards you that maybe you don't even deserve. Times that I feel irritated with you. And this goes back to the it's not you, it's me. I'm feeling irritated with you. I'm feeling frustrated with you. I find myself being critical of you when you're a person I love to pieces. And I know you love me in this like completely unjudgmental way. And I'm struggling because I'm noticing I am judging you. I am critical of you. And I think a lot of it has to do with our years of enmeshment, our traumas. And I think it's time for me to try life without you. I feel like I'm not growing up in some ways and I'm fixating on things and I'm holding that in. It's becoming poisonous to me. I'm sabotaging our friendship in ways and I don't want to do that. If our friendship has to come to an end, I want it to come to an end in a way that honors the history we've had together and the love we have for each other. I don't want to slowly watch this thing die because I'm struggling with the relationship and I'm hurting you and I'm hurting it. Mm-hmm. And like that could be a pitch that opens up that door too. And that's why I think we need to stop talking for, a period of time to be determined. Something to that effect.
And if that doesn't work, gaslight them.
Yes.
Or
There you go.
Don't use
the
that
canoe
enough.
game. Back to that.
Yeah.
Remember last week when you came
Real-
over, keyed my car, and took
Yeah.
a shit on my driveway? That's why this is happening.
What? Remember that money you owe me?
Yeah.
No, I don't. No, you know. I know you know.
Where's my money, Brian?
Remember that thing you lied to me about? No, I don't. Yeah, that is something you would say. This is you always do this. I'm so confused. Oh, yeah, then you pretend to be confused. So it's my fault.
Whatever else you do while you're having this conversation, I want you to have a boom box in your hand.
Yes.
Playing Bon Jovi's Blaze of Glory.
Okay.
The entire time. Just on loop.
On loop. Okay. Yeah.
Not
It
Peter
can't hurt.
Gabriel.
No. Blaze of Glory, Bon Jovi. That is the perfect ending a friendship song.
I
That
feel
is a
like
good
that.
song.
It can't hurt this.
Yeah.
This is a really tough scenario. And, writer, something that Jacob said that I just want to underline because I really agree with this is sitting down to maybe do your own personal work first and asking yourself, am I sure I'm ready to let this go? Because I take you at your word in this letter where you're saying, hey, there's all these reasons. This is on my mind
Right.
all the time. I think it's time to end it. Granted, but if you walked into my office as a new patient and you're like, so anyway, I've been trauma bonded with somebody for a quarter century and I think I'm totally ready to walk away from them because I've grown up. I'd be like, I'll bet you think that.
It'd be really weird if they phrased it that way.
Yeah. I'm sure they wouldn't say it that way. But like, if I heard this story, I would be thinking to myself, I'll bet you feel mentally ready to end this. But holy smokes, would it be rare that a human being is emotionally ready to walk away from somebody they have been enmeshed with for this long? Mm-hmm. Like, there are things about your friend's brokenness that touch your need to fix people or your need to rescue,
and you don't know how
to be a hero. Right. And so, like,
and
there's
that's
going to
be crazy frustrating.
Vacancies in your life when this person's chaos leaves and you don't have a person to fix or a person's life to distract you. Or it could be other things where, like, this person has all their crap going on, but you can come to her and you can download your stuff and she's with you and she knows your history and she remembers every little nuance and she just loves you to pieces. And it could be that, or it could be the fact that you just feel this little girl in her life and you feel like I'm living this parental role and this is bringing me, like, my holiday season and all these connections. I've raised this child. I was there the day she was born. Like, it is just very unlikely that any human being can have this deep of a relationship with somebody and be ready to flick that switch off instantly. So I no matter what path you take, I would strongly suspect there's some good personal work to be done to emotionally ready yourself for this kind of divorce from your friend, because I fear that you might find the right words, and we may even give you some pitches that you could use, but as Jacob prophesied, you may find that you do that, and then a month and a half later, you haven't ever done life without this person in it. And suddenly that vacancy is something you don't know what to do with. There's relief in the beginning, and then there's some kind of mourning and grieving, and I want to make sure you're ready for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry you're having to deal with it.
Yeah.
It sounds really
sucks.
shitty.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah. But, I mean, a really great question, though, man. Such a cool one in the sense that it is unusual. So I really hope that you'll
does give you a good opportunity to play some solid Jovi.
You got to get those opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't waste these opportunities.
What Bon Jovi songs you get, like this one, and then you get like halftime at a game. Like, is that the other like Bon Jovi time? It's
you leave Jovi out your mouth.
Okay, all right. Well, fine. I'll just do that. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're talking about parenting fears. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Smitty, Scoop, Mason Miller, Tess Miller, Byler T, Paris, Team Monaco, Oscar Swanrose, Hannah Marie, Emma Kane, and Myra. And if you would like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. All right, more intern trivia for everybody. And because our intern hates everyone on the show except Jim, our trivia this week is Disney.
Yes!
It does kind of feel that way, doesn't it?
Yes!
Sure does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Fuck all of you!
Really getting those vibes.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, we'll start with Jacob.
All right. I did go to Disney World or Disneyland a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
come on. 2 points.
You guys
I know 2 points.
Yeah.
All right, Whitney, you're up.
I watched a Disney movie. Does that count? Do I get a point?
2 points.
2 points for Whitney.
I'll bet you Whitney does just
2 points
fine,
for
by
Whitney,
the
2
way.
points for Jacob. Jacob,
All right. Everybody's doing really
Jacob,
good.
it's back to you.
All right.
For another 2.
What was the first feature-length animated film produced by Disney?
Oh, he can do this.
It's one of 2. I think it's Snow White.
You going to shoot? You going to take it off?
Yeah, I'm doing Snow White. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me ask you to repeat the question first.
What was the first feature-length animated film produced by Disney?
I'm going to stick with Snow White.
Snow White
and the 7 Dwarfs.
There we go.
You got to get that Debbie Does Dallas.
4
You
points.
can't just say Debbie. All right, there's more to it.
Jacob's got the lead, 4 points.
Debbie does the DFW area.
Okay.
Without the guy on the basketball team.
Luca.
All right, Whitney.
Yes.
What was Walt Disney's middle name?
Oh, there it is.
That's quite a jump from the first one.
Yeah, I know. What charming movie have you definitely seen that was the first of its kind?
In fairness, he's one of the most famous people to ever exist.
This is true.
Fine.
Yeah.
His middle name is, though?
Knowing his full name, I don't think is completely out of the realm.
Walter Disney.
Walter
Tur.
Hitler Disney.
Walt.
I'll give you a hint. It's one of the 7 dwarves' names.
Oh.
What does it start
Final
with?
answer.
I'm like, what does it start with? I don't know. I don't
Take
even know.
the options. Take
Oh,
the
there are options. Okay.
Yes.
I
Okay,
think I
options.
know this one. I
Do you
I want
really?
to steal it. Yeah. I
Oh,
don't know
you
how to
can
steal it.
You
wanna shoot
I don't
sure.
think I
give,
can.
Give Jacob a shot. Sure.
Ooh.
Do you know
Taking
it,
a
Jim?
pass.
I can't be
I
unfair.
don't.
Okay.
I don't know this.
I
I'll
have
give you a
this,
shot.
I have this name rattling around in my head.
Okay.
That I
Okay.
think is
Don't
it.
say yes or no. Read the things after he says his guess.
Okay. My guess is Elias.
That is okay. That is.
I actually was
interesting.
thinking an A name, but it was Adolf. So.
I think it's Adolf. I really think Adolf is up there.
I also kind of think Elias starts with an E.
Oh,
It
does
does.
it?
It does start with an E.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen that name. All
Because
right.
that would be Elias, Edward, Emerson, or Eugene.
Because if it started with an A, I think it'd be Alias.
I'm glad we had this talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
If you use other letters, it probably spells something different.
So you going with Elias? You gonna take that?
I'll just copy Jacob. I'll
Take that Jacob
Okay.
Grubb.
Take that,
steal
Jacob.
from
I'll
him.
give you a point. Jacob gets a point.
Gets
So
extra
it
points.
is 5-3
Jesus.
to 0.
Wow. I'm getting
All right.
dunked on.
My question. What projection technology first used in Haunted Mansion inspired modern holograms?
Oh wow.
Buzz.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
What?
See?
Is it the Pepper's Ghost illusion?
What is going on?
Hold on. Let me highlight this. It's the Pepper's Ghost effect.
Oh,
Idiots.
dumb.
What a moron. -10.
All right. Jacob's
but fair.
killing it.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Okay, so
It's
Jacob.
also
Ghost
used.
peppers.
It's also used in a lot of magic effects.
I wasn't
and
thinking
things
about it.
like
I was like, oh, producer. Okay.
I'm gonna give.
yeah.
I'm gonna award you a point, and I'm gonna award myself a point.
As
Go
you
ahead.
should.
We share that point.
Yeah.
I think you should take 2
I have
points.
to.
Yeah. Whoa.
All right.
Take 2 for yourself.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
generous.
Appreciate it.
Wow.
Appreciate it. Okay,
This
so
is the mental health exam all
Jacob
over
is,
again.
One of those points
Jacob
is
just-
one of Jim's points, though, just so you know.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
yours
Fair.
now.
Yeah.
I don't want to take from
Borrow
you.
out of my pocket.
Okay, so I think that's Jacob 7.
Yeah.
Whitney 4. And
I'll take it.
I've got 1.
Yeah.
Actually, Nick, go ahead and take 3 of mine.
Oh, thank you.
So now I've got 4. You've got
Okay.
4.
Four.
Yeah.
I think I only
And
have
Whitney
3.
has
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take 4.
Yeah.
Perfect.
God
Yeah.
damn.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. This is gonna be a steep climb. This is gonna be rough.
Oh, what
Okay.
a turn for the worst.
That's it for this break.
You son of a bitch! Just leaving me in the
okay.
cold.
Finish
What,
this song. Jim's gonna ace
with
it.
the exact lyrics.
What species is Chewbacca?
Oh, god damn it. He is a Wookiee.
He is a Wookiee.
Aw.
Let the Wookiee win. Also, it upsets me that is technically Disney.
I
trivia.
was just thinking, I'm like, Disney. I'm like,
Yeah,
ugh.
yeah. You
We
write
did do the Star Wars land at the at Disneyland the other
A
week.
good time.
It's kind of amazing.
yeah, it is still.
The
Like,
pictures
in good
people take
hands.
look incredible. Like, it
SJ
looks
and I
like
are
they're
walking. We're walking around. Like, neither of us are giant Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
We've seen the movies and whatever. I don't think we've seen all the new ones, but like we've seen most of them.
If you've seen the old ones, you've seen the new
Yeah,
ones.
it was
they're the
great.
same.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I do like Disney being the caretaker of that universe because they are great storytellers and they get into the details of shit, and they're doing a really good job with the present.
Unless you ask hardcore Star Wars fans.
Yeah,
And then they hate it.
They'd probably dislike it. But hey, they've never had more merch.
Paul
so-
Mattingly hates the Disney Star
Does
Wars
he?
so
Oh
much.
no!
Oh, so much.
Oh,
I think
Paul.
all true Star Wars fans
I think so.
They don't love
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good time.
Kind of.
Anyway, all right. Next question: parenting fear. Hey, y'all. Sorry for the long letter. To preface this question, I do want kids. No one is pressuring me. And I do want at least one, which is why this issue is so bad. My husband and I have been married for a bit now, are financially in a good place, purchased a new home with the plan of a family, and are starting to figure out when we would like to start the process of having kids. I know that my husband will be an excellent father and is incredibly supportive of whatever choices I make regarding my body and pregnancy. I'm fine with adoption, but he really wants a biological child. The social media algorithms have decided that, apparently, I am the demographic that needs to see pregnancy and postpartum reels posts constantly now. I try to avoid social media but cannot completely. Plus, I do genuinely want to be well-informed as I head into this journey. The more I learn from all sources, the more I realize that I am absolutely terrified of hating and being resentful of my own kid. This finally clicked last night when I learned it's normal for babies to poop inside of you while giving birth.
I'm out.
And if they don't, they then usually poop all over you when they hand the baby to you, but can't really get up to clean it off. Abso-fucking-lutely
like
not.
baby can't clean it.
That's disgusting. That was the final straw to realize this is a problem. So here's my backstory.
By the way, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, Ryder, I am on your
You're
side.
making some solid points. Very long story short, my parents and family are wonderful, but many of those around me until recently were not. I spent the majority of my life growing up being ruthlessly bullied, manipulated, exploited by those I trusted, finding myself in bizarre situations, etc. I was an easy target, being a bit overweight, gullible, having ADHD and anxiety. So adding those characteristics and being a people pleaser on top of this. Around 5 years ago, through work with a great therapist, I turned this all around. Now I'm properly medicated, which I would need to come off of with pregnancy and breastfeeding, have lost weight, am in shape, and finally love my body. I have a wonderful group of people around me, and I am very happy where I'm at. I have a great career and multiple graduate degrees. I also learned I have some quirky, slightly undeterminable medical issues, such as some hypermobility connective tissue disorder, lupus indicators, and Hashimoto's, Raynaud's, and allergy to numbing Novocaine-type meds, etc. I've learned to listen to my body and manage everything well. Everything I learned about pregnancy and birth is no matter what choices I make, it sounds like I will be giving up everything I've worked for. And on top of this, no matter what I do, most people around me will have strong opinions they need to share and judge my every move. All of my husband's friends' wives and many of my friends with kids have made it their entire personality and love to tell horror stories of pregnancy and birth on repeat. The worst is one of my best friends still, 10 years later, has the ultrasound photo of the unborn son she lost before birth as her phone's screensaver and adding him to her mother's obituary last year in the proceeded in death by area.
Oh, wow.
It seems like the kid will be basically taking all of my progress away from me and will just be another individual who has taken things from me, exploited me, and is basically just one more bully. But I know it's a baby. I know that is a horrible thought to have. I'm terrified I will have this mindset and hate my own kid for all they do to take from me mentally and physically. Talking to my OBGYN, she responded with, well, many women love pregnancy. It's a beautiful time. Don't worry about it, which wasn't helpful.
Damn, that was going to be my advice.
That was the bit. Shit. All right,
Nick just gave a really big
Nick,
grimace.
regroup. We won't go to you first. We took that one from you.
Princess was first introduced.
Play us out. Play us out. I'm wondering if this is starting to head into OCD territory, as the thoughts do feel obsessive. I cannot get away from them, and they keep interfering with my sleep. I don't know what to do or where to turn, since this is such a judgy subject. Surrounded with major guilt and shame, I'm lost. Help. Anonymous. Pronouns are she and her. By the way, I'm in my late 20s and living in the Midwestern U.S.
The Midwestern U.S. gave away all the pregnancy advice. I was like,
Well, you wrote it to the right show because none of us have kids.
Right.
None of us raise children.
Not
So
one.
that's, so that's good.
Jim's being raised by
None
his
of us
son.
have been pregnant. I think we can say that.
That is true. Jim.
Yep.
No,
None of us
just
has ever
kidding.
had a baby shit inside of us. So there's
I
that.
mean, everything that the writer says makes sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
Very valid thoughts. Just-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about like intrusive thoughts or things like those would all be things if I was like, I want to have a baby, probably all those things would come to mind.
Here's all the things.
I was thinking about my roommate in college. She used to tell me, she's like, I can't wait to have kids. Da, da, da. Then she goes, my worst fear though, I heard you shit whenever you give birth.
Oh,
and
give
I was
birth.
like,
Yeah.
she goes, and I'm terrified of doing that.
Yeah.
And then I learned, like pretty much everyone does.
Guess what? That's not even the worst thing that happens.
Apparently.
A lot of other shit comes out of you, too.
Right?
That's not even
That
exactly.
is the best part.
That's
Apparently
the top
that's-
5 of the worst things that come out of you.
Yeah.
One of them is a human being that's going to be an asshole.
Apparently when you're 19, that's what you worry about. I was like, oh.
I think it's one of those things too that, like, you know, before you have kids, like you hear these things. And it's like, oh my God, like the kid's sick, puked, I got to clean it up. And it's just, that's just so gross. But I think when it's your kid and you're in that spot, then it's kind of like, I don't have kids, so I'm just making this up, but correct me at any point if I'm wrong, but that something just kind of, something just kind of switches and you're just like, you just go clean it up. Yeah. Yeah. It's just,
there's two sides to this. So I think one, I'm glad you said that, Nick, because it's very much, there's an anticipatory anxiety. No, you were right. You were right.
Thank you.
You're right. I don't appreciate what you were doing with your hands whenever you were answering the question, but it's fine.
They're below the table. How can you see anything?
I can see what you're doing down there. Again, I don't appreciate it. But
angle.
I'm into it.
Every time we talk about kids.
I knew that was coming. I was like, wait for it.
End the show. Just pull. Let's just get out of here, man.
I thought Jim talking about the positives from 9/11 was the worst that this show could do.
No, whenever that was happening, I was like, before I can even say it, I look over at Jacob. Out.
Got it. Damn it.
On it.
Well,
it's my fault. We've been doing this for 7 years.
You should have known.
Look at what you're wearing.
Assless chaps. That will do it. All right. So the anticipatory anxiety point, it is really important, Ryder, because this does happen. And I've had lots of people very close to me who have gone through this. And I went through this as well. I thought originally, I like kids. I'm like a really good uncle figure, or like I enjoy, like I get along with them. I'm playful. I liked being a teacher. But I thought I would do terrible with babies because I, like, as a growing up teenage boy and as a young adult, I didn't know how to hold a baby. I was always terrified when somebody tried to hand me a baby. And so I thought, man, I'd be like a really good uncle to, like, you know, an older kid or whatever. Like, I get along with them. I think I'd be really relatable. But I had terrible anxiety that I would just be completely inept as a father. Basically, my wife would just be a single mother, and like I would not be able to contribute anything, and my kid would ultimately hate me and have some kind of like weird issue with me of like, oh, you never held me, you treated me like a pariah or whatever, and like resentment. Man, I had catastrophized an entire like scenario in my head, very similar to what you're going through. But what Nick said is true, and what's interesting about having children. And I also want to be careful because I don't want my advice to come off as don't worry about it, go do it.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Because I do want to circle around to a big point about it's okay to say no to something. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But just as a general feature of like how this goes down, it's very similar to like looking at cold water. You know, like you see this lake, everybody's jumping in the lake or a swimming pool. You know it's cold and you're like, oh my God, I can't imagine getting in there. It would be awful. I'm sure I'd hate it. It's going to sting. And you're like, you're catastrophizing. You're bringing it up in your head and you're imagining how rough this is going to be. And you kind of talk yourself out of it. And you're like, don't do it. It'll be awful. It'd be terrible. But then once you start swimming around, once you dive in, you go through the cold water experience, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it's shocking. But then you quickly become in this moment. And now you are not thinking about how bad it will be because you're there. And now you're just experiencing this. Now you're just playing volleyball or you're swimming laps. You're doing whatever it is you're doing. You're in it now. And just stepping over that threshold fundamentally changes everything that you're experiencing because there's no longer this anticipation. It is just game time. You're just doing this now. So that does happen. And what we see is even on a physiological and neurological level, men and women, but especially moms, fundamentally change during their pregnancy and after pregnancy. And a lot of this is part of why we see all of these interesting things that can happen in mental health, right? And like this huge stirring of the pot. But MRI scans have shown that like neurological architecture fundamentally changes post-pregnancy in women. And we assume that a lot of that has to do with like this fundamental change in this person, in their instincts, in what their priorities are, in their values, and sometimes even in personality. So your letter is correct where it says, I'm scared that the baby would fundamentally disrupt my life and change everything. I'm of the opinion that that is the right thing to think.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people go the other direction and they're like, oh,
I
you're
can still live
overthinking
my
it.
same life.
You're overthinking
I'll just
it,
bring
girl.
the baby
It'll be
with
normal.
me to the bar.
Exactly. Oh, I see. Lots of people go out. You'll still go out. You'll still go to movies. They sleep all the time anyway. And like when I hear that shit, I'm always thinking to myself, like, dude, you are so underestimating what this is. Like, it's not just the lifestyle disruption. It is a physical and mental health disruption. I've got a couple that I work with right now. They have a new baby. they are sleep deprived as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jim, you don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I understand because I've had a puppy.
He's had dogs.
I've had a puppy.
Long,
So,
yep.
yeah, I understand.
The trick
I
is
get it.
just leave it in the dark crying and eventually it'll stop. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
true. Yeah.
And a teenage boy, which they're way worse than
There was
babies.
that. Yeah, yeah. So, yes, Ryder, I do agree with you. You're taking it, I think, the right amount of serious in that you're looking at this and saying, having a child will fundamentally change me as a person, and it will probably change what our lives look like right now. I think those are usually predictable changes that you can anticipate and simulate. However, they're not, I don't think they're going to be what you're catastrophizing.
That's the video game we need.
Pregnancy simulator.
Baby simulator.
Oh, there it is. So remember home ec? Did you ever have to do the egg?
We didn't have to do the egg. Did we do like a bag of sugar or something like that?
Oh, bag
Something
of
like
flour.
Bag of
Yeah.
flour,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
We had kids in home ec that had like baby dolls.
Well, in Louisiana, you just had real babies.
Yeah, they just, somebody, everyone was pregnant anyway.
Those are real
All right,
children.
you're all
Jacob.
16 now. Let's,
They
they
were not
don't let us
dolls.
get abortions. We have to do something with all those babies.
this is the only state funding we get for these kids. Is if we can use them as part of the
childcare-
educational
The
system.
child care is someone else.
That's it. There's a 17-year-old carrying it around for a week.
Two birds, one stone. It's innovation, Louisiana. They figured it out.
That image is
Just,
so
the
bad.
baby comes out, they give you a carton of Marlboro and send you home.
Yep.
Just one
Back to
team
school,
dropping
honey.
it off and the next
That's
team
right.
picking
Picking
it
them up.
Yep.
Jesus. Yeah.
Let you know what life's going to be like.
Yeah.
No, they had like
it
these
is
really
disruptive.
advanced things, and it had to have been like a crazy pilot program or something. Because I mean, this is back in the '90s when not everyone used computers for everything, but like the home ec teacher had these baby dolls, and it had some kind of recorder in its head, and it had like impact sensors and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I
and
remember
she could
hearing about
download
these.
it onto a computer. And like see a graph and everything, and like
my
see if the
gosh.
baby would be dead, all that kind
Like
of
if
stuff.
it cried
my-
at night for a long time and you didn't get to it or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, my high school girlfriend had one of those.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
That
really
that wasn't
crazy.
the real baby. Your high school girlfriend.
Not that I'm aware of.
Wasn't mine. It was some guy
I'm
named
like
Mattel.
22 years later.
She named it Ronnie Jr., though. I don't know. Now that doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Looking back, it's starting to connect.
wait a minute.
Captain of the hockey team, Ronnie. Yeah, no, I mean, it is very disruptive. I do think that you're catastrophizing it quite a bit, which, you seem to point to in your letter and say, look, I suspect as much. And so I do think you're taking it the right amount of serious. So all those pieces in there, my last point on this is just, I feel like having children does change you. I do think as a general rule, people come out on the other side of this falling in love with the child. I think all these instincts take over. I think a lot of things propel you into it. And I don't, obviously when you ask parents like, oh, do you regret it? It's extremely rare that somebody says yes. Like when I do hear
Part of that,
you
though,
can't, I
is-
was like, you can't get
it's a
into
bias.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, part of that though
recency
is the
bias.
bias. Yeah.
Cognitive
It's a recency
dissonance.
bias.
Not
Absolutely.
just a recency bias. It's
Yeah.
also there's a bias in there, not wanting to say like I sure do.
What does
Shouldn't have
that
done
say
this.
about
I
myself
would
if I
argue.
say yes?
I would argue that same bias often stops them from entertaining the fullness of that thought.
Sure.
Right.
No,
So
maybe.
I think it becomes a mental block where
Yeah.
it's like I can't even imagine my life without this kid because if I started to, that would something starts to come loose in my head. and
It's
not
real
okay.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, it gets really weird really fast. So for whatever
Because the other
reason,
option is, boy, I sure can picture myself without having this kid.
yeah, it gets dark fast. So, again, most people will not say that they regret having the kid. I do hear people say, I regret how my life has changed. I miss my old life. Or it may negatively impact their relationship. And they might say, man, I
Right.
miss what we used to have, the time freedom. We had figured ourselves out. Now our whole lives are about this third person. And we are just a support system for this person. And like, we do not matter. And like, it's a whole different set of skills to have a relationship with children. So all of that is to say, I'm a big fan of when somebody is confronting all these fears. Society, I think, tends to poo-poo this. And I think your OBGYN kind of did. And I think society tends to say, this is no big deal. You're overthinking it. Don't worry. You've got some cold feet. Go on and go through with it. I find that distasteful. I don't like that. I really want for somebody to authentically struggle with and decide for themselves. And that decision may include, I'm not going to do this. And like, for me, if you're really struggling with like whether or not you think you want to have kids, I start to say, then let's pump the brakes. Like, I don't want you to just throw yourself over this threshold and just hope it all comes out in the wash and it'll all be okay. Even though that may be true, it makes me a little bit nervous because I'm kind of the opinion that I kind of want every baby in society to be one that is welcomed and wanted.
That's crazy.
And I want families that want those babies to have those babies, right? But like, I don't know. I get nervous if it's something that like you don't think you want.
Yeah, but she said in the beginning, I do want kids. True. There's no pressure. I do want at least one. I think because she knew probably that was a route that was going to be taken. But I do want kids. I'm scared of the path to get the kid. Mm-hmm. So, and I can like, relate to that a little bit. There's a lot of reasons that I choose not to have kids, but one of them is I'm like, pregnancy weirds me out. Like that is, being a little open here, like that is very weird to me that something grows inside of you and comes out. Like, I don't even want to think about it right now.
Yeah, like, it's transformational.
Which then the writer mentioned this, like adoption or like fostering really does strike a chord with me because I do enjoy children. I think that there are a lot of children in need. So that is something that we have discussed, like, or teased the idea of at some point. So when you say like, I don't want anyone forced into that, I hear that as more of, hopefully, writer, you're not feeling forced into giving birth.
Right.
Like you said, you were open to adoption, but your spouse or partner is wanting a bio child. And so that to me gets into some weird territory where it's like, I hear that, but you are the one carrying the child. And if a lot of your stressors or like half of them are coming from that process, maybe explore that with your partner more and see.
And you guys seem to be doing really well. Like writer says, hey,
we're
doing really well financially. We have our degrees in order. I hear all that and I think surrogacy. That's your third option.
That is a great option.
Surrogacy is a great third option.
That's a really
You
great
and I
option.
have both known people that have gone through surrogacy.
Yeah.
And for many people, writers in their 20s, but we know a lot of people that kind of did career stuff first, got into their 30s, and sometimes didn't want to like deal with geriatric pregnancy or body changes, or they just found the whole thing to be not something they wanted to do. And they wanted to be like at peak physical condition when baby needed them, right? And they don't want to be like, I'm recovering
rested.
from this own bullshit that I'm going through.
Right.
And so like surrogacy is another option. And
that is such a great point.
I'm sure some states it gets tricky. Like I realize that there's been a lot of interesting politics. In Nevada, though, surrogacy is widely available.
Yes,
and
yes.
it's a very straightforward
People
thing.
come from other states to Nevada.
Is that the case?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
But
definitely.
my friend, the bio parent, was from another state. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so that's probably something to consider, too. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I lean more towards don't feel pressured to give birth.
Yeah,
is
right.
like the angle I would take. And then the writer asks about kind of like, is this tipping into OCD territory? And maybe it is kind of in that symptom range, like, hey, we're experiencing some form of this for this moment. And kind of what Jim said, maybe the route I usually go to when dealing with those symptoms in session is, let's just sit with that. Like, my body is going to be different after. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. You have to decide what equals bad or good. Like maybe it just is.
What's just different?
What's just different? You're going to change. Your body is not always going to look like this for the rest of your life anyway.
Yeah,
like,
and I've heard of I've heard couples kind of talk about that too, where it's like you kind of like, okay, we had our relationship before kids, now we have our relationship after kids, and it's different.
And it'll be different as they grow older too.
And it's not necessarily good or bad. It's just different. You have a different kind of relationship, and you've got to learn, everything that you learned in that last relationship. It's not completely out the window, but in a way it kind of is, because now it's like, okay, now we have to learn what this relationship looks like, and we have to foster this relationship. You can't continue to work on building the old relationship, because now we've got a new one.
That's well said.
And it's kind of a different, it's just different,
Yeah, it's just different. And so I think kind of embracing those changes and knowing I will be sleep deprived. I do also hear from many parents, I'm like, that's the next thing. Wow, going without sleep for at least the first 3 months is what I hear for sure. And almost every parent father or mother that I talk to is they kind of say, oh, it's really not as bad as you think. Like, I can tell they're sleep deprived. Like, I knew them before children, so I can see they're tired, they're all these things, but they're like, you just kind of do it. Your body goes into like some kind of autopilot or auto drive, and
true.
You're just functioning. And I know that doesn't sound like a joy, but you kind of get through it. We humans are very, very resilient
and flexible.
Yeah.
Our ancestors did this shit on the Serengeti, and they're just kid on the hip, fucking walking where they
running
were walking.
from lions.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, we can get through it. And
Hey, Jim, just real quick. Somebody just emailed me a question here. What continent is the Serengeti on?
Oh, yeah. Italy. It's why the food is named
the continent of Italy.
Got it. Good.
The Serengeti with tomato sauce.
Big old bowl of Serengeti, some Parmesan on it. Really good.
The writer thanks you for it.
Yeah, okay, good. I love the rapid response. I'm really glad we implemented that policy. Last thing that I see in this letter that I think is really important to highlight is the writer talks about, I'm fearful that this child will inherently negatively, in some ways at least, affect my life. And I'm very vulnerable because I have been bullied.
Yeah.
I've been picked on. I've been exploited. And so it sounds like writer has a lot of self-awareness, has done great therapy, and says, look, I'm very aware that I can very quickly personalize something, right? And I'm sure that that's been thorny in your life. I'm sure being in a long-term relationship with your husband, it's thorny because if your husband's like, oh, I forgot to pick up milk, can you pick that up? And like, you might be ultra sensitive to like, why is my time not important to you? And it's like, whoa, babe, that's not it. And it's like, sorry, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just, I am sensitive, right? Like, now I'm very protective of myself because old me got exploited. So, writer, this is going to be a whole, like Nick had said, a whole new chapter of this experience. I think that when people are exposed to a child, if you have a pet, this might be similar, like your needy puppy isn't exploiting you or bullying you by yapping and wanting your attention or wanting you to pick it up, and noticing its need and its reliance upon you and its vulnerability usually taps into something inside of you that feels like you're protecting them or giving them what you never had. And most parents will share that in that sense, they don't resent the child for being dependent on them or needing them. There's this sense of, I'm going to like cathartically heal myself by being for you what I didn't ever have. Like, and I've lived that as a parent. Like, in my childhood, we moved every year of my life until I was like 9.
Well, that's why Jim hates to travel.
Yeah, I fucking hate it. Travel blows. I've been there. It all sucks. Like, Nevada's home.
Jim's therapy session?
Yeah, bill me. Yeah, very easy. So, like, for me, I'm really, really grateful for stability in my kids' lives. And that was something I always wanted to give them, and like make sure they always grew up in the same house and like went to the same school their whole life and had the same friends and the same neighborhood.
Go on the same vacation.
Yes, honestly, that's part of it. It's just like traditions, like routines.
To Disney.
How much do you usually spend on your vacationing throughout the year? Just throughout a calendar year.
Yeah. Not enough.
What if I said you could have all those vacations for $3,000 a year? All you have to do is sign up and cut me a check.
Timeshare it. Yep.
Jim actually would be an ideal timeshare.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, you go to the same spot.
I'll never go. Oh, yeah, no.
You go to the same place. Yeah, and you know exactly where you're going.
Right. It's called a hotel. There's no need to do anything else. I don't need a fucking contract. I'll just go to the hotel.
I feel like we could get something out of this.
I'm sure you could try. But no, like I cathartically have felt a sense of healing on an area of my life that I think has defined me and changed a lot of my personality and gave me some vulnerabilities and I'm sensitive to in life. And so I've been able to react to that, right? And I've given my children something that I didn't have growing up that I yearned for. So, writer, there's something I think unique about this dynamic you end up having with a child where you might say, I'm going to make sure nobody exploits this kid. I'm going to make sure this kid learns boundaries. I'm going to be the adult who protects them from the world around them or whatever. And there is something replenishing about that and something empowering about that. And so, anyway, I just want to throw that out there too, because I can sense that there's a lot of fear that this baby's going to take from you and that you're going to perceive it that way as if it was like intentional. And again, I don't know your psychology. I'd be curious what your personal therapist kind of thinks about that, because maybe they would look at that and say, yeah, we need to deal with that first, before we start moving into family building.
Well, kind of something adjacent to what you just shared that I hear and see from a lot of parents is not so much, yes, healing can happen too, but more like kids bring out your own issues. And so the writer's actually already kind of setting that up. And in some ways I love that because they're already anxiously, but that's okay, thinking ahead and saying, wow, I'm worried I'm going to like feel bullied by my child. And the reality is, if you think of any like 2 or 3 year old, any parent that's already struggling with that issue will feel that way from your child. And you'll be like, oh my God, they're 2. Why am I like so reactive to this kid who's manipulating me when they are doing it just being a kid, but I'm going to take it personally because that is something that's like triggering for me. So I love that you're mentioning these things. And like Jim said, maybe talking to a therapist about that beforehand would be a lovely, lovely place to start, because you're like, hey, these are my worries. How do I sort of process some of this and then continue once your child is born? Because it will pop up again. But I can come back and pick up where I started from and go in with a few tools and see how it goes. Because you're not wrong for being worried about those things. Those are very valid concerns, but there are things you can do to prepare for it and then work through it once you're there.
And remember, poop comes from inside of you. It's already in there, you know? So, I mean,
it's just liquid.
Poop,
it's not real poop.
You make the baby.
I mean,
the baby's poop is
what
your
did a
poop.
baby eat when they just
They
process
eat from
liquids?
you. It's the umbilical cord.
Yeah, it's not even food,
so
though. It's just
kind of
like
your poop anyway. It's just going
we're
through
experts
different...
in this. And,
I feel like...
You know,
which is a good reminder. If you're interested, check out Jim's deep dive. Your poop is my poop. It is available.
Everyone poops,
on
even
Spotify.
fetuses.
Everybody poops sometimes. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to end the show on a light note with a question called, do I need to forgive my abuser? You're listening to Pod Therapy!
Today's episode is brought to you by Smitty Scoop, Mason Miller, Tess Miller, Byler T, Paris, Team Monaco, Oscar Swanrose, Hannah Marie, Emma Kane, and Myra. And if you would like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy.
So Jacob has roughly 10 million points.
Nick Whitney and I are tied at 4.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Jacob.
Yes.
Spell Disney.
Son of a bitch!
I see what you're trying to do here, Tangent. I'm going to go around your trick question. Capital D.
Correct! All right, 2 points.
The D.
Get the D. Have you seen those shirts that are like Disney sweaters that are saying...
No.
You never seen the ones that say like, I love the D?
No, that's hilarious.
And it's like the little Disney
in the
D.
Disney.
Yeah, it says, I love the D.
Jacob, which Pixar movie featured a hidden Easter egg of the infamous Pizza Planet truck?
Oh, boy. Oh, man.
Toy Story?
Yeah.
Well, that's where it
You're
started.
gonna
That's where the
want-
truck originated.
You're going to want options.
There's another
there could be
Pixar
options.
movie.
Great.
Yeah.
A Bug's Life.
Hey, I want at least ceremonial credit for knowing what movie it came out of.
Yeah, definitely tip of the cap. Tip of the cap.
A Bug's Life. Monsters, Inc., Inside Out, or all of the above?
All of the above.
Correct.
There you go.
Oh, he knows how to test.
Pizza
If all
Planet.
the above available.
Also, when you go to Disney, that is one of the better places to eat is Pizza Planet.
Okay.
Not anymore.
No?
Not anymore. Yeah, like
it's
there's
crowded as fuck, right?
Oh, I don't know about that, but there's all this new stuff.
Oh, okay.
In the Avengers area.
No, that's California Adventure. When you're in, that is where the food is.
Okay.
The good food lives in California Adventure. That's the adult park. It's also where they have wine.
Isn't Pizza Planet just Planet Fitness?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is Pizza Planet Fitness.
Pizza Planet
You
Fitness.
can't shame me.
Pizza
I get
parties.
great deals on pizza.
How are we doing on those
It's
pull-ups,
free.
by the way?
We're not there. We're not there.
Pull-ups.
Yeah, no, that was never it. It was never plural.
Wait,
Just
how
be clear.
far? How many? Have you done any more things on your list, Jim?
I need to
That's a no.
review it.
Okay.
But
I have the calendar on my
it's
counter right now. I'm
coming
bringing
along
it
as
next
quickly
week.
as anticipated.
That's why we need the calendar.
Yes, I'm
But
gonna
I've
get
been
it.
doing
We're gonna call you out.
research. A lot of these things require research. I looked up a LARPing
don't,
group,
though.
so there's that.
Okay.
I'm thinking about that.
That's how I do my goals. I thought a lot
I
about.
considered it.
He's
I
got concepts
organized
of a
my
goal.
whole
Yeah.
closet
Get concepts
in my
of a
mind.
plan.
I bought some new clothes for it. They were very expensive.
As
I
Nick
haven't
would
used
say,
them, and I probably
I'm in the
won't.
contemplation stage of change and maybe some preparation.
Whitney, what Disney Broadway show was based on a live-action Disney film and focuses on a group of paperboys striking for better conditions?
What the fuck?
Oh, is that like the Newsies or something? Newsies?
It is.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm just going to say correct before you change your mind.
Yes, Newsies it is.
I have no idea.
I haven't actually seen that.
Okay.
but
I've never
I want
even
to.
heard of this.
I did not scroll down all the way, so I just got the question for my question. Which Disney park is home to the Tower of Terror, which was rethemed to Guardians of the Galaxy
Ooh, Jim almost gave one away.
Mission Breakout?
I think I did.
Oh.
No, because I don't know.
What was the park that Jim just mentioned a second ago?
California Adventure?
Correct!
I was like,
8 points. Bonus. Also,
Didn't
that
even need the
ride
options.
is fucking terrifying.
Oh, that ride is awesome.
Oh, God, that was
What makes
way
it terrifying?
too much.
Is it in
It
the
is
dark?
an elevator that just goes all the way up and then just
I
fucking
believe it's
drops you.
made. I believe it was manufactured also by Otis Elevator Company.
Oh, really?
Like the company that makes every elevator
good
you've ever
for
been
them.
in.
Oh my
Yeah, it is
gosh.
just a monster elevator that literally just
Do you
takes
hit
you to
the
top of
ceiling? What do
building.
you? What do you?
It
No,
just,
it just drops you.
It just drops you and
It's
then
a drop
stops and then jerks you back and then and then there's all these doors that open and you see all these different scenes.
Oh,
It is it's a lot. And just like
Okay.
I fucking was terrified.
I
there
gotta
you
go
go.
to
There's a photo
Disneyland.
of
There's
it.
us.
I'm like, I gotta
Oh,
go
cool.
to
So there's
Disneyland.
me and my little niece, and
Nice.
she's digging into my
Oh
arm
my gosh,
here.
who is this person in the green shirt? Is that someone?
We
you
don't
know?
know this person.
That looks
Yeah.
like you.
I don't know these people right here.
Like that's
Yeah,
Jacob with
in
black
my
hair.
photo-
Niece and nephew, my brother and sister-in-law, and SJ.
I am just clinging
Oh my gosh,
to the
look at that
fucking
face.
seatbelt.
Oh yeah, my sister-in-law is not happy.
No, I hated that.
I
ride.
spent the entire time because my little 12-year-old niece, she had come to me earlier in the day. She was like, I really want to go on that ride, but I'm going to be scared before we do it. You can't let me back
Chicken
out
out.
of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, we're going on this fucking ride.
Done.
This
Talking
ride's
to the right
awesome.
guy.
I know.
Yeah.
Also,
I'm
I
your man.
love this ride.
Yeah.
I love this ride.
Let me make a few phone calls.
Yeah.
And he comes back. It's like, hey, this is a picture of your dog. You see that gun next to his head?
Yeah.
You're getting on this ride.
You get another ride.
Oh my God. Is he okay? Oh, he will be.
Yeah,
As
he'll
long
be
as
fine.
Get on
Nothing's
the
going to
ride.
happen.
No,
As long as you get on
as
the
long
ride.
as you do what you said you're going to do. As long as you fulfill.
You asked for my help. You knew what this was.
You're welcome.
Exactly.
You're welcome. I'm helping you achieve your goals, kid.
Every time she would scream, though, I would just scream with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we were having, it was so much fun.
No, dude, that fucking ride hurts.
Oh my God.
All right,
Too
Jim.
much.
What year did Epcot open at Walt Disney World?
Oh boy, I feel like it's an '80s thing. I'm gonna need options.
Okay. You're sure about the 80s thing?
No,
1980, 1982, 1985, or
God.
1987?
damn it! God damn it!
There are 10 options. 1980, 1981, 1982, 1983, 1984.
1985. Just all of them.
All right,
There's extra
I'm gonna
options. They're all
go
80s.
early '80s. Give me '82.
Yes.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
Never been to Epcot though. Have y'all ever been to Epcot?
No.
I have.
I have.
That's the only Disney place I've
No.
been. Is
You didn't
Epcot.
go to the real park, but you went to Epcot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what grown-ups do.
So that one's got the food, right?
Yeah.
That's
It
the
It
whole
does have
point?
the food.
Okay.
Yes.
It's just different worlds.
I went when
Yes.
I was a kid. The only time I've ever been to Disney World, we went to like the Magic Kingdom and Epcot.
Yeah.
And it was when there was nothing in Epcot. Like it was the
okay.
future.
It was
thing.
1982.
Like it was
1981.
90s. This would have been like mid 90s, early 90s. This would have been like 92.
Okay.
See, I don't remember anybody from my hometown ever going to Disneyland. Everybody
No,
always went
they
to
always went to
World.
World.
Yeah. If you're gonna
You're on
travel,
that side of the
Well,
Go for the big
Louisiana,
one.
we were closer to Florida than we were to California.
You could drive there.
Yeah. Like now, my family from Texas, SJ's family, comes out to Disneyland.
Oh,
And part of it is we're out here.
Okay.
And it's great.
Yeah.
Also, traveling's just easier.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I don't care for either place. It turns out it is a lot of walking, and I don't care for all that walking.
Because I have my little health ring that I wear.
Oh yeah.
So our day in Disney,
Are you
it was
liking
like
that?
15.7 miles.
Oh yeah,
Walked.
easily.
Yeah. I am really liking it.
You
Yeah.
are okay.
That's so much.
It's helped a lot with my sleep.
Have you ever used a Whoop?
Gazoon type.
So whoop. Yeah.
Shoop-ba-doop.
What do you have, an Aura ring?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So
Have you
it
used
goes
a
right
Whoop?
in your butthole then.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I mean, it doesn't have to.
I thought, I
but
thought
it
that
does.
was-
If you want it to
chooses
be
to.
accurate,
I thought it was the birth control.
Yeah.
The Nuva ring.
He didn't ask if it was
Are you
supposed to go in my
still-
butthole.
Yeah,
He
check it.
asked if it did.
The birth control's working great. I have yet to get pregnant. It's going really, really well.
I hadn't gotten laid since I put that ring in my butthole.
Zero chance the kid is mine. How do you mean it's helped with your sleep?
It monitors your sleep, and it's like any problem. Like once you start to understand aspects of the problem,
putting in like I drank alcohol, I ate.
You can do all of that,
and then it'll tell you, oh, you slept worse when you did.
All right.
Like this,
it doesn't do that, but it'll tell you. It doesn't correlate it like that.
Okay.
You can though.
You can make that correlation.
You can see the data.
Yes, absolutely.
I
So
see.
then, how does it help with sleep?
Because
It sings to you.
It does.
Well, it
A
vibrates
lullaby?
in the butthole.
Like
It vibrates in
The
his sleep
sphincter.
from the butthole.
Nick is dying.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I mean,
I'll bet
can we
it
patent
works.
it? Can we get on there first?
We're trying. I mean, we haven't sold many T-shirts, but I'll bet we could sell that.
If we had a Nuva ring that warms your butthole,
Pod therapy butt ring.
oh, do it. Why have we not already started selling this? I mean, we can charge anything.
That is a hazard that we don't want any part of.
That's something you get as a therapy partner, I think. We just send you a butt ring.
And a contract to sign.
Yeah, please never use this.
Don't sue us.
Not for human consumption, please.
No, but just like if you say, "Oh, I'm not sleeping well," you're not really identifying actual issues,
Right.
And it keeps track of like when I'm going to sleep, how much movement there is while I'm asleep, which can relate to like sleeping positions, all that kind of
that's
stuff.
cool.
You can kind of extrapolate out from that.
Yeah, then you can experiment with things, and you'll notice, oh, I slept better that night.
It
and
monitors
I wore socks.
blood oxygen levels.
Oh, okay.
So like if you have sleep apnea, which I don't, and this is kind of confirmed that I don't, which is nice. But my normal is about 96%.
Okay.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I've read the study that was talking about like the different phases of sleep and how we sort of go through these cycles and descend into it and then kind of reascend.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that is so wild. And then I saw some reports from people's Oura rings. It was like, yep, this is what that looks like in real time. And it's like, son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, like I can pull up graphs of
That is so cool.
my nightly sleep.
That's cool.
And it shows me like let me find it here. It shows me like deep sleep, REM sleep.
Wow.
So like last night,
like
my
that.
sleep wasn't that great. It was in bed for 8 hours and 21 minutes, which that's great.
That's
Why does
pretty
your
good.
heart rate furiously go up for about 90 seconds there? What's
Let's see.
Must
Yep,
have been
normal.
a bad dream.
yeah, I'll bet she's tossing and turning real hard. Yeah.
That was the buzzing.
But like,
Was that when striptease was on USA?
yeah, like not great restfulness. I went to sleep really late. That was part of it. And then like this graph down here just shows you as you read across it, like all those little spikes in there. Those all times when I was
cool.
awake.
Moving around.
My Fitbit does that too.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
Apple Watch
Yeah.
does
Yeah,
that.
It's the same thing that a lot of things do.
But
That's
some
really
extra
cool.
It's just a
stuff.
little easier. It has some extra stuff, and it's just a little ring, so it's a little
it's
easier
same thing.
to.
It's just in the butt.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, more comfort.
Right.
It's-
The
it's
color makes sense now.
the color of the rain.
Gold.
But
I like gold.
oh lord! All right, let's finish off on the.
Now I know
right
what I'll be
foot.
dreaming about tonight.
I mean, it would feel good. Like, let's not be weird about it. Like, obviously, it would be great, and it should be invented.
Yeah.
And that's not
Trademark
weird
it.
to
Say
suggest.
TM. Yeah.
Pay me, Apple Butt Watch.
So anyway, do I need to forgive my abuser?
The
Oh yeah.
iButt.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me that we probably need to jump into this
Wow.
as Jacob's aura.
Whiplash.
It's weird that he's putting the mic all the way down there, but whatever. All right. Oh yeah. I'm gonna let him get it out of his system because once
good
I
luck.
start, this is gonna be pretty dark.
I know it's going to be bad, but I'm going to keep doing it.
All right, everybody buckle up. Here we go. Do I need to forgive my abuser? My father emotionally and psychologically abused me and my sisters growing up due to his addiction to alcohol and his BPD and narcissism, which didn't help either. I've been no contact for 6 to 7 years, but I still have to hear about him since my sisters still have contact. I've accepted that if I want my life to be stable, I cannot have him in it. He is never going to be able to love me the way I want him to, but the issue is that my whole family insists that I need to forgive him to fully move on in my life. My question is, if I really need to forgive him after everything he's done, my question is, do I really need to forgive him after everything he's done? If I do, can you explain why and how to start? Thanks, Anonymous.
Depends on what you mean by forgive. That's my first thought.
Point. Yeah.
My opinion is no, you don't have to forgive him. Is this disrupting your life, or are you doing it because these other people have said, oh, you should, and all these other people have? They're kind of like gaslighting you into thinking you need to have this forgiveness. And again, what is forgiveness? What do they mean by that? Do they mean, I get the sense they're trying to say you need to forgive him and have contact again and like just make it normal for all of us, because this is disrupting our life. We can't have big family functions. We can't like talk about dad openly with you. We can't like, in my opinion, when I see dynamics like this, it's more about those other family members wanting you to be back to normal because they want that, not because it's what's best for you. So I don't know. That's my initial thought just off the bat. But you're writing and asking this, so it makes me think you're considering it or thinking about it or wondering maybe there could be benefits to it. But I don't know. Do you think there's benefits to?
So here's what I would say, because I think you're onto something about what do you mean by forgive? Because I don't think you need to forgive necessarily. I'm using my air quotes here. I don't think you need to forgive.
Oh, yeah.
I think what you need to do is I think you need to remove the power that it has over you.
Sure.
Whether that be through forgiveness or through some other means, I think that's the thing that needs to happen. I have heard some people talk about this, and we've talked about it like in groups that I've facilitated and stuff, just about forgiveness, because obviously in substance use treatment, so many people that we work with have gone through terrible traumatic events. And it's like, well, do I need to forgive? And we really kind of talk about forgiveness in the sense of like, it's not about that other person. We kind of used forgiveness in that sense of almost more of a letting go. Like they didn't actually contact the person and say, I forgive you. They had no contact with that person whatsoever. It was more about, I'm going to choose today that I'm not going to carry this with me anymore. And so we kind of looked at trauma as being like a backpack, that like it's just full of bricks and you are carrying it around everywhere you go. At some point you realize that you can't get as far ahead or as far as you want to go or as far as everyone else is going because they're not carrying this bag of bricks. You are. It's only slowing down you. The person who gave these bricks to you, they're not slowed down. They're moving along just fine, but you have to carry this stuff. At some point you get to a realization where it's like, well, why do I have to carry this shit? It's only affecting me. It's not affecting the person who gave it to me.
I'm guessing your narcissistic dad is just fine living his life.
Exactly. And so they get to just walk along this trail at a faster pace, and I'm stuck doing all the work. And then you kind of get to this point of like, no, there are no rules here. There's nothing that says that I have to carry this. And you just can choose, all right, I'm going to put it down.
I was going to say, the reason you carry it is because you picked it up and carried it.
And if this bag just decides to come to life and starts walking alongside you, and it's going to be with you the rest of the journey, that's fine. But at least you don't have to carry it.
I see your
point. At least it's not going to slow you down. That, to me, is what forgiveness is about. It's about choosing to set it down and walk away from it, as opposed to continuing to carry it.
And it's okay if you get freaked out by the walking bag.
Yes, that's normal.
That's
normal. I mean, we've been doing Disney trivia all night. We see this all the time.
Fantasia callback. Well played. Damn, man, he is a Disney princess over there.
There you go.
He's got it all.
I mean, that stuff, sure.
Yeah, you could do that.
You get into like the Inside Out 2 stuff, and I'm out.
And then you're fucked.
Yeah.
So, Ryder, I think there's a lot of layers to this. I mean, on one hand, when we talk about what does it look like if, again, to borrow from Nick, not necessarily to forgive, but to move beyond, right? To no longer be limited by what this person has done and the impacts they've had on your life. It's tricky because I don't know that there's one healthy way to do it. And this goes back to what Whitney was saying, that a healthy path is to recognize, I've decided for me, this doesn't work. My sisters have decided otherwise. I respect my sisters. I trust their mental health and their journey. If that works for them, for their reasons, they've done the cost-benefit analysis, they've decided they tolerate dad's presence in their lives, and they've decided to go through the tricky work of establishing boundaries with him as an adult and not tolerating certain kinds of behaviors. All right, peace be with them. Let them go in power. For me, I've decided not to even have to negotiate those boundaries. I don't want to, and I've chosen to, exile this person from my life. I don't think that's necessarily wrong. I don't think that's necessarily a sign of immaturity or a sign of like some kind of, I don't know, like you're emotionally stunted or you haven't done the work.
Right.
I'm very comfortable with you just landing on that decision with 2 healthy feet and me saying, I approve.
Yeah.
This is fine. Green check mark, verified.
Yeah.
Alternatively, I do think you're allowed to wrestle with the effect of that. So like as Nick was kind of giving his example of the backpack, another thought I kind of had that I think is analogous but isn't going to be perfect, but I'm going to start with the metaphor because I think it's relatable at first, is like when you boycott something. Like you're just like, hey, I'm really upset at the oil industry or something like that. They don't care about our climate. They're destroying the world. Trump's, drill baby drilling, and I'm tired of this shit. And so like, I'm going to take a stand. I'm not going to participate in this anymore. Right. And then it's like really hard to not participate in an economy that's fueled by gasoline. Right.
Yeah.
And so like you can stand on your principles for a while, but at some point it starts to have a real effect on your ability to live your life. Now I can't drive to my friends. I can't, send an Amazon package, like whatever. You start to get stuck in all of the parameters you're creating for this principle that you think is correct and you're right. The same thing can happen with this kind of family boycott stuff. And I want to respect the implications of that, right? That the family might not just be being pissy or sassy. There really can be problems in your life whenever you excommunicate a member of your family, like not being allowed to go to Thanksgiving, like they can't talk to you about their real lives, like it could have a real train wreck in your life. And so I do think you're allowed to wrestle with the implications of the boycott. And I don't think it's a betrayal of your values or disrespect to yourself, or even necessarily unhealthy, for you to say, I did this for a time, and I've decided that this is now causing some kind of difficulty in my life to continue down this road. I am going to continue to take a stand, a principled stand, but I'm going to do this through alternative measures. I'm going to do this in new ways now that allow me to kind of interact with the rest of the family. And that probably, if you ever went down that road, to me, that doesn't look like forgiveness. Going back to what you were saying, Nick, I don't look at that as the path forward is forgiveness. I look at that as the path forward is negotiated boundaries. You can exist in a world with somebody that abused you or harmed you or did wrong to you. A lot of us do that with siblings or things that have like fucked up, our lives as kids. And it isn't that we've forgiven them. It's that we can coexist with them with very clear, understood boundaries. There are parts of our relationship that will never be the same, parts of my life that you will not have access to, and there are ways and places that I can interact with you with clear understanding and rules. And like that to me is not forgiveness. That to me is a negotiated boundary. And going back to Nick's point about addiction work, a lot of the folks that we treated that had addictions, yes, they had survived trauma, but many of them had perpetuated trauma.
Sure.
Many of them.
I would say that's the majority of everyone.
There it is.
I mean, anyone who perpetuates drama probably was the recipient of a lot of drama.
Hurting people hurt people. Mm-hmm. But this was something that was a smoking gun problem in a lot of our treatment programs, was here their families checked them into rehab, and now we're getting that person healthy, and the family's all sitting there going, hey, like the last shred of love that we had for this person got them into this rehab. We don't want anything to fucking do with them anymore. They stole grandma's pearls. They, pawned them all. They burned the house down, blah, blah, blah. They've stolen from us, borrowed from us, lied to us, cheated, stole, crashed our cars. We're still bailing out of debt. So like there's been a lot of hurt, pain, abuse, like from their kids, their family members, their spouses. And sometimes we have to sit with those people and sort of advocate for the person in addiction who's recovering while also honoring the fact that these people have legitimate grudges, right? And what we usually tell them is, because they'll ask us that question in family therapy when we're doing family reconciliation work or family education work, they'll say, so I'm supposed to forgive this person? I'm supposed to accept when you guys teach me that this person had a disease and I'm supposed to like pity them? Like, fuck that person. They crashed my car and stole, mom's wedding ring and pawned it. I can't forgive that shit or whatever. They treated me like shit and took advantage of me and gaslit me as part of their addiction. How can I just forgive them because they had a disease? And I think what we often teach them is absolutely not. We don't want you to forgive them. That's never going to be the point. We want you to consider whether or not you want to live in a world where they live with you, but then have conditions and like conditional acceptance of the relationship. Not unlimited or like unconditional love, but conditional love, boundaries, and rules. And if they break those rules, then you need to withdraw. And actually, as addictions counselors, we usually think you should, because they need to experience consequences.
The way that I've always answered that question, if a family member asks me, do you expect me to forgive this person? My answer is, I don't expect you to forgive the person. I expect you to allow for the opportunity for them to earn it.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Because that's really all they can do.
Yeah.
Right. And it will be imperfect, and you don't owe them this, but you may decide that it is advantageous to your life, or for your reasons, you've chosen to create this space. And Ryder, that's how I look at this too. You don't owe this to your father. I don't think that forgiveness is the right mentality, the right approach. I could see you sitting down, as you seem to be doing in this letter, and saying, there are reasons that it would make my life easier or beneficial to create a space of conditional acceptance of my dad's presence. But that would have to be very limited in scope. It would have to have some pretty clear boundaries. I would need to internally think about what that means. And I might need to talk to my father one-on-one if I ever got to that point and say, look, I'm going to allow you back in my life a little bit. I'm going to share space with you. We're going to start with very broad stuff where I'm going to show up at, Thanksgiving or whatever. I will send you updates about, family members. I do not want to hear back from you, or these are things I don't want to hear you say, right? And as soon as you violate that, I do not feel it's my responsibility to educate you or give you 10 more chances or teach you. I'm just going to reinstall that silence and reinstall that distance. So, Ryder, you don't owe that to anybody, but if you decide that it is advantageous to your life or helps you be closer to your family, de-stresses your life or whatever, or you feel emotionally ready to try that, then to me, that is not forgiveness. That is installing conditions. That is conditional acceptance, boundaried living, negotiation of principles and behaviors. If you decide to enter into that kind of space, I think that is not forgiveness. I think that is you taking a stand and saying, this is the kind of relationship I am available for. But Ryder, as you said in your letter, you may decide, I have thought that through. I am not available for anything. And then if that's the case, as Whitney was saying, then our job is not to help you point towards your father and talk to him. Our job is to help you point back towards your family and talk to them and how to take a principled stand against people that are pushing you, maybe out of selfishness, maybe because they think it's what's best for you,
right?
Maybe for religious reasons. We've still got to push back on them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So a lot to that, Ryder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is a shitty situation. And,
Definitely
Ryder said dad was an alcoholic, BPD, narcissism. Like, yep, those
That's
things
so
are
hard
borderline
to-
personality disorder
Yeah.
for those of you who aren't
I was
familiar.
going to say with borderline and narcissism, I mean, I'm never going to say never, but that'd be really hard to set boundaries with people who struggle in those areas if they're not
Considering
aware.
the main criteria is that they don't respect boundaries.
Right.
That's- yeah.
Makes it hard. No wonder you've been no contact.
Yeah.
And people around you are making you feel crazy for it. Like,
Yeah.
should I?
No,
Yeah.
it is very hard to establish boundaries there. But also, I think, like, who we are as children, we are very powerless as kids, right? And so when we get into our adulthood, we take our power back, and sometimes we do that by establishing boundaries. If you've done that and you've silenced dad for this long, the odds are very good that dad gets that you can do that.
Right.
And sometimes whenever
That's
it's like,
true.
hey, you have punched me in the nose, I am very aware you could punch me in the nose.
Right.
What would be the way we can interact where you don't do that again? Great. Now that you take me seriously, now that you know I'm capable of shutting you down and never talking to you again, this is the baby step. This is what first interactions, do not bring this shit up. Do not say these things. Do not talk to me this way. If you can do that, we can start.
Yeah.
But not just giving away the farm and saying, yep, oh, you're right, I forgave him. Now we can act any old fucking way. No. And if your sisters choose to say, like, no, I've forgiven dad, and so I just accept dad for who he is. So you know what? He treats me like shit, and he acts any old fucking way, and I just have to accept that as his daughter. Great. That's your decision. That does not have to be mine.
Yeah.
And if you try to impose that value on me, you can kindly go fuck yourself.
Kindly.
Yeah, don't be a
Very
jerk
kindly.
about it, right?
No.
When you're telling people to go fuck yourself, tell them
Kindly.
gently. Fuck them gently.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are wrapping up the show. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by the following producers: Tavariousness King, Tyroyal Smoochie Wallace, Disquarius Green Jr., Ibrahim Moizus, Jack Maris Tech Theratrix, Diza T. Billings Clyde, DeJasper Probenflex III, Leon Maxwell Gilliams, Jafaris Jamar Jafarison Lamar, Devoyne Shower Handle, Hingle McPringleberry, and La Carpatron Duke Marriott. And if you would like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy.
Oh, Key and Peele, do not sue us. As we wrap up the show,
They're big listeners.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
we should be very worried.
Yeah.
I would welcome that lawsuit.
Oh my
to be
God.
honest,
that would be the best thing to possibly happen. Yeah. Oh, did you hear this bullshit? Nobody's ever heard of them podcast that Key and Peele fucking annihilated. You can have all the money in the bank, all of it. As we wrap up the show, we want to remind you can sign up at patreon.com/therapy. You can get our extended show ad-free a day earlier, as well as enjoy our live chat, Discord community, and our weekly deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. And we've got some new friends to the Theraparty. Who has joined us at patreon.com/therapy?
We have my personal life savior, Sherry Hare.
Oh, yeah.
Who caught, so we're in the Pod Therapy Fitness Challenge.
Yes, fitness challenge in your butt.
She caught a huge mistake. So I've been recording a lot of these videos, like workout videos, posting them. And then she reached out to me. It's like, hey, these aren't playing. I was like, oh shit.
Hilarious.
And so I spent like
month
2 hours working on this shit.
Oh, wow.
Messaging her back and forth. Okay, try it now. Okay, try it now. Okay, try it now.
Yeah.
Turns out, and for those of you who are doing the fitness challenge and didn't see my message on there, if you happen to do the fitness challenge back in 2023, the app has updated. And if you have the old app, it won't play the videos.
That's what it was.
So there you go.
Also, Sherry very helpfully messaged us about the Patreon because she was like, hey, Jacob had mentioned a while ago that maybe there's an annual option. I'm looking for it. I've torn the damn website apart. Why can't I do that? I really want to just do an annual with you guys and just do it all at once. And so we were able to kind of dialogue, and I have now torn apart Patreon from the other side of it. For whatever reason, we do not have that option. So if you're out there and you're like, hey, I've been waiting to jump into Patreon, I'm just waiting for you guys to activate the annual option. We have looked into it. We have contacted Patreon. For whatever reason, we don't have it.
What did Patreon say?
They just did not. They just
They did not say.
They did not say.
They could care
so
less.
do not wait if you're out there and you're like, yeah, I just been waiting to
They
jump
said-
on.
They said we're too little for them to reply. This is basically what they said.
And another side note, if
I'll
you're,
find out why, because we have it on Ice Cream Social.
we have all
And
the
I have
right
no
settings.
idea why.
I've done every checklist.
I'll see if we have a different version or something.
Another thing that came up in some of these dialogues is if you're an Apple user, I guess Apple, they have their Apple store and they want a taste of everything that goes monetarily through the store, including Patreon.
Oh, if you do the app.
Yeah.
Don't do the app.
Don't do the app.
Do it through a browser.
If you're going to sign up for
Okay.
Patreon and you're an Apple user, open it on your computer, sign up, then download the app and log in. And then you won't have any extra
Okay.
fees or
you
anything.
can monitor it on the app.
Yeah.
But do the purchasing through a web browser.
Do it through the web
And you can
browser.
even do it like the
On
web
your
browser on your
phone,
phone.
but it just
Yeah,
has
that's
to be the
fine.
browser.
Just don't use
Just
the
don't
app.
go through the app to purchase the
Because they'll
membership.
add a little extra taste.
Yeah, then
on
they take
there
a little extra.
that Apple wants, but
Actually, they take a lot extra.
yeah, don't give it to
So,
Apple.
a big thank you to our new director of quality assurance, Sherry Hare.
Thank you, Sharon.
And we've got another new therapod, Fifi or Fi-Fi.
Yeah, I think it's
I'm gonna go
5-5.
with-
I think it's 5.
Oh my god.
I'm going to go with Fifi.
Or FIFA. It might be FIFA.
I'm going to do a mixture of both.
Like we
But either way, thank you
Do
very
they
much.
do they have like an enemy, like a nemesis? Fifi's foe?
Oh, look at that. Damn. He's
Best audio guy in the business.
He's on a
That's right.
tear.
Who's going to be the
He's
next
got 'em all
Patreon with
going.
that name?
Yeah, I know. Somebody will do it. So it is the first week of the new month here in the month of love, February. And of course, the first week of every month, we like to take a little moment to thank all of our therapods, theradactyls, and of course, we thank our theraproducers, therapartners, and theity at the end of every show. But I'm going to run through our therapods list. And first one to thank is the Dark Lord himself, Jim Sfasha.
Don't know why that's on there. But
Okay,
thank
great.
You.
Sam Cohn, University Jeff, Robert Paulson, Polygon, Richard Bruins, Linda Brandmeier, Scripturnaut, Joseph Pengrazio, Corey Owens, Christine Phillips, Gavin Bristow, Carrie Terhart, Kiwi Fruit Scoop, Take It EV Podcast, James K., Craig Little, Don Dorr, Jim Hunter, Scoopatron, Todd Canfield, Felicia Butler, David Sorensen, Shayla Bullock, Lauren Izzo, Stacy Coleman, Adam Petanuzzo, Mats Lenegren, Scoopator Ascending, Ian Soto, Jessica Cyphers, Lee Popsicle, The Josh Guy, Mama Ninja Scoop, James Dawson, Sarah Olo, Grumpy Lake Mead Park Ranger, Sam Buck, Karen McCulloch, What Weekend, Some Nobody, Lila, Be Gay, Do Crimes, Kelly Gagner, Nippy, Brian Emra, Matthew Johnson, Alec Lancaster, J.D. Congan, A Literal Pickle, Andres Saavedra Molina, Matthias Vandebrandt, Max the Ginger Scoop, Julius Capel, Ken Tinsley, Chemist, Protectin' Scoop, Smells Funny, Matthew Kubik, Chad the Safety Lad, Walker Fluke, Stacy, Philip Guyton, Tim Mystery, Almost Dr. Nurse Joey, Duffy the Slowly Getting There Therapist Bear, Joel McMillan, Christopher DeGursey, Kierkegaard, Trisha Ortiz, Chris Conway, Melissa L. Geisler, Kirsten Johnson, DJ Seward, Mississippi Hippie, Liz, Scott A., Freya Lawson, Fi-Fi, Eli, Heather W., Patty Glad, Kyle, Todd V., Anthony Camerata, David Williams, Kate Police, Kernapillar, Trontastic, Buddy Dobbins, Eric Dyer, Glitch Scoop, Nathan Mookie, Aleta Balais, Bug Nuts, Stephen Landon, Adam Balaz, Kenneth Wong, John Finlayson, Mysterious Annelid, KJ, Carmen Perry, Mr. Poth, K. Pizzle Dizzle, Robert Cole, Temporary Reality, Jeff Darnell, Jameebe, Jacob Hurt, Persephone Hazard, Syncytium, Ray J. Shark, Recreated, Silka Daniels, Jenny Rose, Jacob Billingsley, What Does Scoop Mean? A Crusty Croissant, Alex Jardine, Dylan Colopy, Wolfie05, Ben Sherman, Chris Courtney, Dale the King, Riley, Cedar Hayden, Nora Monaco, Adam Goth, Sherry Hare, Our Savior, Jesse Miller, Livy, Grace, Terrible Tay, Acrylic Curve, Linus Hayakasan, nailed it, Itty Bitty Chicken Farmer, Sam Yagan Keeley, Kay Matthews, Kevin, Chill Food, John Caravadas, Fish Bum Fish, J.W. Reynolds, and Michael F.
Oh boy, our pterodactyls are Ice Blue Scoop, Brian Lehman, Scoop Brady, Andrea Anderson, Scoop Lindsay, Frozen Cusser, Lori Elsroth, Cy Shanagon, Scoopy Jess, Okie Scoop, Dank Butter, Brooks Lyle, Adam Ribchick, Lovely Spark, Mr. V, Jim and Manu, Adam Warren, the offices of counselor and counselor, Manuel Cavazos, Chick-fil-A Tio, and Chad Mag.
Love it. And of course, all praise be upon our theity, the Dark Lord himself, Jim's Fascia. And we'd like to thank the benevolent, revered, generous, and flagrantly pro-therapy diehards who love you all so much. They give till it hurts, the Thera partners, Dirty B and Pickett. And we want to thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Thera producers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Myra, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Dawn, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard fucking Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley Slapping Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, Mike Helm, Paris, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Hey Yo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpy Kai Motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, Hannah Marie, Andrew Langmead, Emma Kane, Alina, Cody DeLorean Guy, and Sam Cohn.
And if you would like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
and why wouldn't you?
And enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy, and thank you for supporting mental health.
Well, that's all the time we got for this week's session. Want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. But remember, Pod Therapy isn't something you should keep all to yourself. Share the episode with the world. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, and Blue Sky. It's /PodTherapy on Facebook. And don't forget about all the extra goodies at patreon.com/therapy.
Do you want to submit a question? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net. Email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com or click the link on the episode description to be taken to our anonymous Google form page. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
Bow. Fantasia was one of the earliest Disney movies too, wasn't
That's
it?
up there.
It wasn't full length. That's why I think. Yeah, I don't think it was a full length
Feature
feature.
length.
That's why I asked.
Feature length, yeah, whatever.
That's why I asked for the clarification.
No, it was a smart move.
Because also you got like Steamboat Willie and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, Cinderella also way
Cinderella's
back.
old. What about
That's way
Sleeping Beauty? That one's pretty old too.
Sleeping Beauty.
I think Sleeping Beauty is older than Cinderella.
I'll bet you those are the first three. I'll bet you it's Snow White, Sleeping Beauty,
Will you?
Cinderella.
Will you bet?
Well, where do you bet?
Ooh,
Putting some
not a
money on
sports
this?
better, but Disney better.
What'd
You can bet on anything.
Okay, so the bet would be I'm thinking those are the first three chronological movies. See, but I'm fucking myself. I know I am because it's going to be something.
Don't put your doctorate on the line.
Because there's that.
He doesn't have that.
doctorate.
Yeah.
You might have got another one.
It's going to be some bullshit. It's going to be like Winnie the Pooh.
You think he got another doctorate and we haven't heard about it?
Take his teaching license.
I wouldn't tell you.
Because
then you guys would
true.
take it.
yeah, the card, the little.
All these
That's
degrees
true.
I hide from you.
So what are the
Also
first
true.
three?
I should have like CEUs that he could just snatch.
I was
go
gonna
get new
say
CEUs.
I've got it over here.
Your
What are the
ID
first three?
card.
See, I'm also thinking the Sword and the Stone is pretty
Oh,
early.
yeah?
too.
That's a real.
Yeah.
That's pretty early, man.
But I think they're all princess.
And Jungle Book. Jungle Book's another one that's
like
really
the
old.
70s or something.
You think that one's 70s?
Yeah,
If that one's 70s, I'll bet Sword in the Stone is probably 70s
I think.
too.
Let me see if I'm wrong about that one.
Gosh, Snow White, Cinderella's probably the third one, but I don't know. See, I don't
You got to
know.
commit. What is
No,
it?
I don't think I can. You know what? I'm not.
Sword in the Stone is 63.
Okay. All right.
That's way too late.
That's
Yeah.
way later. Yeah, I don't want to. So let me just take a stab at what I think the second one is, because we know that Snow White's number one.
Okay.
I'll bet you the second one is it going to be Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty?
And are you going to bet on the second one, or are you
I
just
will
trying to
not.
name
This
it?
is rhetorical.
Okay. That's not what that word means.
I
but okay.
want.
How is he supposed to know? He's not a doctor.
Let's do Cinderella. I'll bet you Cinderella's the second one.
And you think what was the first one?
Well, Snow White. You already
Snow White.
confirmed that.
Right.
Yeah.
So Snow White was released December 21st, 1937.
Okay.
I know, it's crazy.
Cinderella was released February 15th, 1950.
Whoa.
Wow.
Big gap. So Sleeping Beauty, that was the middle one?
It was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, then Pinocchio in 1940. Fantasia also came out in 1940.
Well, I think that is a feature-length film.
I think it is too.
I think so too.
Reluctant Dragon, Dumbo, and then
Dumbo.
Bambi.
Wow.
Bambi.
These are all before Cinderella?
Yeah, Bambi is 42.
Wow.
Dumbo's
Cinderella
41.
is 50. Alice in Wonderland is 51. Peter Pan is 53. Lady and the
These
Tramp is
cartoons hold up.
55.
I'm so
Oh my
impressed.
Sleeping Beauty is 59.
Wow.
Ooh, okay, I was way
And then
off.
101 Dalmatians, then Sword in the Stone.
Wow.
And then Mary Poppins.
Mary
Jeez.
Poppins.
And
Mary
at some point, I just
Poppins-
have to stop naming the good movies that Disney made
Right,
in this time period
They know
because
the recipe.
we'll just be here for the rest of the time.
I don't consider, like, I realize you can't use the word canonical, but like the animated masterpieces collection, because like back in the 90s, they used to refer to all these as the masterpiece collection. And that was like
To sell DVD
big
packages.
ones. You're probably right.
Yeah.
But like I came to associate as a kid that there's like the real gold star Disney put everything into it movies. And then there are the other movies that they release throughout the year.
I mean, honestly, if you go back and look at it, because the thing was, it was basically you'd have a new Disney animated movie every other year.
Right. Yeah.
Because it would just take a fuck long time to do it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, most of them were pretty good.
Yeah.
Because, like, they're working on it really hard
Original
for 2 years.
soundtracks, like it's been really built in.
Yeah.
When did Jungle Book happen?
1967. That was the one that I stopped right before I said.
All right, so the ones that we grew up with, Whitney, I think the ones in the order that we would have remembered as kids, I think it goes Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid.
Oh, Little Mermaid.
Beauty and
Then
the
I
Beast is
think
91.
you got Lion King.
Little Mermaid is 89.
No, Aladdin.
Aladdin is what I was
then
gonna say.
Lion King.
92. Yep. Then 94.
Then Toy Story. And that's the beginning of the Pixar era. Hercules.
I was gonna say
comes
there's an-
after Lion King, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, because that's the Pixar stuff.
No,
And then-
Hercules is not Pixar.
Oh, is it not?
No.
Oh.
That's part of what's the quote unquote masterpiece collection.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
What was
Yeah.
the order there? I know you were saying them, but I wasn't listening.
Oh, let me see. Back up. Little Mermaid was 89.
Oh.
Beauty and the Beast is 91. Aladdin is 92. Nightmare Before Christmas is 93. That one
Yes.
sneaks in there.
Yes.
Lion King is 94. Toy Story is 95.
And
Wow.
And the big
just
one that
boom,
came
boom,
between
boom.
Lion King and Toy Story was Pocahontas.
Oh, Pocahontas.
and then we've
yes.
got Hercules and Mulan in there too.
And
Yeah, that's further
Mulan.
down.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And then
That's a
also
lot, or at
the
least
classic
then.
movie Oliver and Company,
Yeah, that
which was a retelling
good.
of Oliver Twist,
Yeah.
but
In
with a cat.
Cat form.
Oh, I didn't realize that was the story.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
Oliver
it's
I
Oliver
honestly
Twist.
didn't either till right now. I was like,
Wow.
oh,
Yeah.
the cat one?
I mean,
was
I
like,
never saw it, but
well,
I
that's
just,
probably why.
I had that
missed
soundtrack on cassette when I was a
Oh,
kid.
that's
Yeah.
adorable.
Yeah, yeah.
See, that came out in '88. Yeah, it's about when I would have had that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I did. I start doing math, and I'm like, oh, Nightmare Before Christmas. I saw that in theaters, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I was like
Yeah.
7. So yeah, that checks
Yeah.
out. Or
Yeah, that
whatever,
makes
like
sense.
7 or 8.
Yeah. Disney knows what they're doing, man.
Yeah, it turns out
Turns out.
Built the
they're good
empire
at
on
this.
who are we to
All
judge?
right.
it. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
No, all right. Bye.